or the youth violence that exists in our communities, or seeing friends that I grew up with, unfortunately not graduating and ending up in the prison system, or seeing people out of jobs and sleeping under palm trees, people really hurting for access to health care. And so I feel that. I feel that right here. And so that's why I think, as a result of me speaking to you from my heart and feeling these concerns, that I believe I could represent you very well and be a strong voice for you and be headstrong when it comes to our issues in Sacramento. And quite frankly, I don't think we've had that. I don't think we've had fair representation in Sacramento. Really a voice that's fighting on behalf of Imperial County. A voice that's fighting on behalf of the Eastern Coachella Valley. On behalf of Blythe, for example, as well, because they also have major concerns out there. Too often we're not at the table. And what Rick was mentioning earlier about high unemployment rates, that's true. High poverty rates, high dropout rates, high incarceration rates, high teenage pregnancy rates. You know, maybe we're feeling a 15, 20 years. It's nothing new to us. So we need someone that's going to fight for us, and that's what I intend to do, is to fight on your behalf in Sacramento. But in order for me to do that, I ask you to support me and to engage with me in this movement for change. I need you to vote come November. I need you to encourage your friends and your allies, your comadres, your compadres, your brothers, your sisters, to come out and vote for my behalf. But know, though, that I as an individual can't bring the change without you. I'm going to ask you in the future, whenever we're working on policy, to be by my side, especially when we need to provide testimony in Sacramento, or when we're here and we have legislative hearings. I want to ask you to be there. If you're a teacher, if you're a healthcare provider, if you own a small business, if you're in the nonprofit world, if you're in agriculture, if you're in public safety, wherever you are, whatever your business is, I'm going to ask you to engage. I need you to engage. Because that's how we create the most progressive policy from the ground up that's truly reflective of our needs of our communities. There's no other way. And I've seen it done. At one point in time, I was a teacher. I provided health care. I took a leave of absence from my job because of this campaign. Former researcher, but I was also a grassroots organizer. I worked on behalf of many underrepresented communities throughout the state of California. And it was through that process where I learned that communities that have been voiceless, communities that have been disenfranchised, when they unite and they believe in themselves, and they're willing to stand up, that we can bring about change. And that's where I learned in the Capitol building, working with different legislators and different community groups, that we can provide language so that that bill makes a little bit more sense to our communities. That we can provide testimony, that real story that comes from our hearts, that many times legislators, because they're so detached in Sacramento, don't understand because they're too busy reading maybe a report. But that's where you come in. And I take that to heart. So I believe in the system, and I am hopeful, and I do believe we can bring these changes. What do those changes look like? Education, not incarceration. What do those changes look like? Access to quality and affordable health care for all our folks. Ensuring that we protect Mother Earth. We clean up the New River. We restore the Salton Sea. Public safety being all of our responsibilities. And invest in neighborhood watch programs. And ensuring that our kids and our families have green spaces and parks. New ones, as well as renovating old ones that exist in our communities. Ensuring that we restore the middle class and that people have good paying jobs. We have a Brawley bypass, for example. We need to make sure that those funds are allocated. They're on a timeline, but we need to ensure that those monies are allocated so that that Brawley bypass is completed. But at the same time, when it's completed, how can we make that an economic development opportunity for Brawley? Maybe that could be an economic development opportunity through a business incentive zone where people will stop and they'll shop and they'll purchase a meal or maybe stay at a hotel so that those dollars stay here locally. The enterprise zones are also in existence here, and we need to bring in businesses through tax credits and tax incentives so they can hire local people, so they can purchase equipment that's being sold here so that those dollars stay here. That's very important to me. And we restore the middle class by providing tax credits to the middle class for child care services, or if you need to send a child to higher education to help pay for your tuition and your fees. It's very expensive nowadays. Books nowadays cost about $200 each, $150 each. It's very difficult for our students. It's not like it used to be. And so those are a few of the issues, and there are many more. And know that I don't consider myself an expert. You're the experts. But I do see myself as your tool, as your voice, working with you side by side and bringing that change. My promise to you is I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be accessible. I will be in your communities. I will be visible. I don't plan on taking any breaks whatsoever, although maybe after the campaign, maybe a couple of weeks, and then we're back on the trail, right? Because we have a lot of work to do. So I ask you for your support. I ask you to engage with me, side by side, not behind me, not me in front of you, but side by side. Together, we can bring the change. I do believe that. And at a national level as well, we need to ensure that we elect Obama. I think it's important that we bring that change at that national level because it trickles down to us here as well. And people are wanting that change. People are very hopeful. I want to end with a story. A story that says a lot about this campaign that has begun almost 2 years ago. Almost a month and a week ago, a homeless man came by my office, and I wasn't there. I wasn't around. I was probably out here walking the streets. But he talked to my field director, Carlos Gonzalez, and the homeless individual, I didn't get his name, but as he talked to Carlos Gonzalez, he asked Carlos what was he doing. And Carlos was working on my campaign, getting some signs together, and the homeless man said to him, "Wow, you're involved in this campaign." He said, "Yeah." And the homeless man said, "Well, I'm very happy. I've heard good things about Manuel." And the homeless individual saw envelopes where we pass out to try to gather some funds for the campaign. And he asked Carlos for an envelope. And Carlos said, no. You don't need an envelope. If you want to help, come on by and maybe you can pass out literature and we'll feed you in the morning and we'll feed you during lunch and we'll feed you for dinner. So they had a discussion. At the end, he asked for that envelope. He still insisted on that envelope. And he went away for about 15, 20 minutes. Around 20 minutes later, that envelope was slipped through the door of the campaign office. And Carlos went, picked it up. He must have wondered what he wants or what he needs. He opened it up, and inside that envelope was $3. And it had a note. The note said, Esperanza. The note said, hope. This campaign is larger than myself. It's larger than the folks that have been working with me to try to win this seat. It's about real people. It's about you. People want to change. And so that drives me. When I heard that from Carlos, it gave me that extra motivation to work just as hard and work harder to win this seat. So I ask you once again, engage in this movement with me for change. And thank you for coming out. And I wonder if maybe there's any questions or any concerns or ideas. And real quick, before that, I'd like to introduce a couple of people. Sarah Tirado has been on my campaign team for quite some time. She's my political director. Luis Sanchez as well.